IVM.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Musafir Stories, India's very own travel podcast, where each week we share the journey of travelers in their own words and relive their experiences with you, our listeners. Happy International Podcast Day.
Hi guys, a very happy International Podcast Day to all of you. That's September 30th of every year.
Thank you so much for being a wonderful audience and listening to all our episodes, and big shout out and a big thank you for all the people who take an extra effort and send us those beautiful emails, tag us on Twitter and
Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. So we just want to give a big shout out to all of you who go that extra mile and keep us motivated, because as we've said even in the past, you are our biggest motivation. So thank you so much, guys. And we're doing a special episode today just to celebrate International Podcast Day and celebrate our journey. So this episode will be a little different in the sense that we won't really have a discussion about a topic or a place, but it'll be a discussion about a journey, and that journey
of the Musafir Stories.
Exactly, the journey of the Musafir Stories, and it is a fun conversation. I won't give away too much of it. You guys go listen to it, but I warn you, there'll be a lot of laughs, a lot of giggles, so please bear with us about that.
Yes, and I'm so sure that you're going to love this episode, because at least I personally liked it a lot. So thank you so much for being a great support and a motivation. Love you all. Thank you.
And before we kind of jump into the show, I'd also like to call out the winner of the Get Featured on the Musafir Stories contest that we ran as a special for International Podcast Day. We'd like to announce that Ajitha Yasmin, who's... hey, yes, applause. Ajitha Yasmin, who was one of the first listeners to write back to us as well about how she'd be interested in coming on the show and pitching about a place that she had visited. So, yeah, that episode will be coming up soon. Stay tuned, stay subscribed, and it should be out in the month of October. We will keep you posted, but thank you so much, Ajitha, for all the love and support.
Thank you, Ajitha. Can't wait to listen to your story.
And now, on with today's episode.
Hey guys, welcome to a brand new episode of Musafir Stories, and this is going to be a very special episode where Saif is going to be our guest, and this is Vishnu with
Naga and Shankar. And please introduce yourself, guys. Vishnu and Shankar from the Writer and Geek Show.
You didn't introduce yourself. In terms of introduction, this is Naga from the Passion People podcast. So all of the people who are listening to this podcast, please subscribe. Link in the description. So yeah, guys, jokes apart, this is going to be a special episode where you always listen to Saif talking to all these travelers and, trying to get most out of their story. So we are today trying to get most out of his story and how he started Musafir Stories podcast. And this special episode is for International Podcast Day. So please don't forget to wish us on that day. We are your favorite podcasters, right? I hope.
Don't forget, it's the Writer and Geek Show and the Passion People podcast, and links will be in the show notes section, guys.
Hopefully. All right, cool. So, Saif, as with any other interview, we'll start off with the very beginnings of Musafir Stories and what made you decide that you need to start a podcast, and what pushed you into it.
So when I started off as a podcast listener, as most creators would. And when I started listening to a lot of Indian content, I found out that there was not enough content, first of all, in the Indian space. And over that, I didn't find any travel-related content too. I was a big listener of travel-related podcasts too when I was listening. Amateur Traveler and Rick Steves and all of those wonderful podcasts. And I thought, why not? We'll give it a shot. And anyway, there won't be too many listeners, so... I'll do this until Faiza and I lose motivation, and then we'll just move on to the next thing. That's how we started. But it's been a year and a half now. We started in Feb 2017, and it's been one hell of a journey so far, and we hope to continue.
So it was basically your idea and you roped in Faiza.
Yeah, so we were basically just sitting down and thinking, what can we do in our free time? And one of my suggestions was, let's do a podcast, one, because we don't have to spend too much on it.
Yeah. So tell me about the experience of the first recording that you did. Did you feel that after recording, did you feel, oh, this is just, too hard to listen to, or did you feel embarrassed to listen to your own voice? How was that experience?
Both Faiza and I, we don't have any kind of a background in either, say, media or definitely not public speaking or interviewing people or anything of that sort, right? So it was a little bit of a challenge, and listening to our own voices, that was, I think, that came as a shock, especially for me. and apart from that, you won't believe it, because most of our interviews are remote interviews, right? The first couple of interviews were borderline disasters. We had the cooker whistles going off in the background, and dogs barking, and crows crowing. It's never been the pleasant birds chirping kind of a background, never. So it was a little bit of a challenge, but slowly but surely we've, I think, come some way from the early beginnings. So yeah.
I think you guys have come a really long way, and back from being featured on the iTunes banner to you guys are there everywhere, and I think Musafir Stories is definitely going places.
I think we just got lucky, just as they say, right, being at the right place at the right time. But to be there at the right place, you have to be doing it, right?
Yep.
So I think that's the part that I also try to tell anybody who asks me about this. That try and be consistent. If you can be consistent, you stand a chance. I think that's my golden advice.
Got it. So how is it? So you're married to Faiza, right?
Yeah.
So how
Faiza's
is
my
it
wife.
working with Faiza? And so how is it working on a project with your wife outside this in general, right? So generally the dynamics become a little difficult, right? So do you want to share some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think.
There to the extent that you can without being thrown out of the room.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think Touchwood. Where can I find wood? Yeah. Touchwood has gone fine, and I think one big factor might be that this is not monetized in any way right now. The moment it comes down to monetization, that's when all hell breaks loose, as they say. But it's been good. I think working as a team, it's always good, and one way it also lets us spend some time together, because in these days of hectic schedules with work and everything, people tend to miss out on time. But at least this way, we are getting to spend some us time together. So yeah.
I think that is another advantage of being a podcaster, right? So I know that you guys do it different in a different way than we do our show. For us, it's just brothers sitting and talking, so we manage to find time. We are accessible to each other, so we can decide to record anytime. But for you guys, it's a little different because you have a guest coming in all the time, right? So tell me how is this process of maybe scheduling an interview and making sure that they remember that and you follow up, and how does it work? Because we don't do that. I'm curious to know how that works out.
Yeah. So these days there's a lot of scheduling softwares and stuff like that to do it, but we still do it the good old way, where we reach out to people. People also are curious about the medium because podcasting is not as popular yet, right? So that way people have been kind enough to come be on the show, agree to be on the show. But scheduling does become a challenge, one, because first of all, I and Faiza have to get our schedules in line. And once we have that in line, then we approach the guest. And we've had instances where conversations, they've gone on for literally months. And especially the last episode we released, right? The Riverside Goa with Kaushal Karkhanis. That one, it was exactly a year later that we recorded the episode from the day we started the conversation. Because a lot of these guests are travel bloggers. They're busy people too. They're traveling. They're on the road most of the times. So it becomes a little bit of a challenge. But thankfully, we have a thriving community in India, a thriving community of travel bloggers, and not just travel bloggers, right? Because it's pretty open subject or genre in that way, right? A lot of our listeners come on shows sometimes. So coming back to scheduling, it is a little bit of a challenge, but something that can be managed. And we usually do our recordings in bursts. So we go probably over a month and record say 6 or 7 interviews, then release them over the next 3 months. So things like that, because time is of essence, and it's a little bit of a challenge because we are doing this part-time as well. Both Pfizer and I have full-time gigs. So I guess just working around all of this stuff, that's how we do it.
So by where you have reached right now, it's sure that this is not just a hobby for you guys, right?
I think, we are at a very fine line right now, where it's between a hobby and something more than that. And I don't know which way we'll head. We'll probably find out the next few months.
Yeah. So just to know that, like, when was the time when you realized it's probably not just a hobby? You know, there must have been something which just clicked, and you're like, oh, this is not as small as we think it is. This has the potential to be something huge. Was there like a specific time or like an event which made you feel that way?
I think getting on Savan was kind of big for me, because at that time Savan was very aspirational, but later I found out they take other podcasters too. But initially when we got on Savan, then I thought was maybe we have to focus a little bit more on production values and production quality and stuff like that, because Savan I think has about a 22 million subscriber base, right? So that's pretty huge. So you potentially are reaching out to so many people, right? Especially when you're featured, etc. So that's when we thought maybe this is just more than a hobby, and not just taking it lightly. So I guess that's what I would say would be the turning point. And it came just about, we were almost inching towards completing a year. That's when this happened. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So where do you see this headed?
As I said, Naga, we are at that fine line now. I'm sitting on the fence. I don't know which way. It can go either way. So we'll just have to wait and find out, I think. We might just continue doing this as a hobby, as whatever we have been doing so far. Mm-hmm. Or maybe it might get a little bit more than that. We might start another podcast on the side and decide to spend more time on this. But time will tell. So make sure to stay subscribed. Just a subtle plug.
That's a nice way to plug. We should learn some stuff. Talking about the way he does things, right? Not just in his podcast itself. If you look at the Bangalore podcast scene, Saif is kind of a very well-known name, because he's organizing events and stuff like that. And I think because of Saif, we also got introduced to a lot of people, right? So
we got introduced to each other.
Yeah, introduced to each other, introduced to a lot of other podcasters and potential podcasters and all that stuff. So my question is a little bit about your personality. Are you, basically a person who is more extroverted, who likes to, connect with people? Or is it because you, after coming into podcasting, you're like, okay, now I need to have connections so that we get a community around and then grow it. So how is it? Did you force yourself to be an extrovert?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a total introvert. Otherwise, I didn't have much of a social circle once I moved back to India, right? And I was looking at reaching out to more people, talking to more people. And once I started podcasting, it was all online. And then I thought it'll be good to have these conversations offline as well. And especially if there is a community, there are other podcasters close to you. You can definitely connect and solve each other's problems, also learn things from each other too. So that was the idea behind me reaching out to different people here and trying to build a community, because I strongly believe that there is a lot more to gain by staying in touch with like-minded people, especially when you have that opportunity, right? Now, of course, there is, with the power of the internet, world is a small place now, but that level of relationship that you have with the person, with the individual, when you meet them in person, that's completely different. And that's why I kind of give that a push from my end, that at least from time to time, we try and meet, and that way we can build a network and we can be of help to each other as well.
That's really, really difficult to believe, but it's so inspiring to note that you found something that pushes you so strongly, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm an introvert. You can ask my parents, I guess, because Faiza hasn't seen much of that side of me, but my parents and my friends from school and college will tell you that.
I could realize it. That's why that question.
Yeah, like I think we can actually relate to it.
So the reason I asked that question is because I could relate to it. I'm sure that Shankar can also relate to it, because we were very introverted kids. I was especially a totally introvert kid who had great trouble speaking to people. great trouble speaking to girls as well.
Now we're coming to the point.
So it used to make me feel uncomfortable being in a group of people and all that kind of stuff. So but when I joined college, and even before that, when I started getting involved in group activities and stuff, I realized that unless you speak out, nothing is going to work out in your favor. That means making connections, talking to other human beings and being a part of a small community. That has helped me a lot, and now I am no longer an introvert. To an extent, but
Sure.
I have my secluded, alone time and all that stuff, which I hold dearly, which matters to me a lot. But maybe I'm not an introvert anymore. I have no much issues about. So that's the reason I asked the same question to you, because your personality seems to be that of an introvert, but you are the one person who keeps everybody connected. So looks like you have put some effort into it, and that is showing in your work as well.
Sure, and I think it goes a long way. I'd say, like, for the introverted ones out there also, right? I mean, I appreciate that you have your own space and all of that, but having a community around you and reaching out and talking to people, it also builds that confidence so much more. That's what I felt when I started and started reaching out and meeting and talking to all these people about different things, different ideas, etc. So, yeah.
So are we done? Do you have anything to ask?
Yeah, moving on to the rapid fire.
I have a very good idea to put him on spot in rapid fire. So
Responses will be delayed.
let's responses might have to be edited out as well. So my first question is, what is Faiza's favorite food?
Anything non-veg.
Any delays will have serious consequences. Just remember that.
He can edit it out, right?
We'll edit and give it back to him.
Anything non-vegetarian.
Where was the first place you visited after getting married? You're travel podcasters, right?
First place we visited. I took her to the US with me.
Okay, tell me this. What is the one place you would want to visit with her in your life? Which is like your ultimate goal?
I'd like to do a trip of Central Asia. I'd personally been wanting to do that as well, but it'd be great if I could do it with Faiza.
Kind of getting too personal, right? Anyway, what's your favorite food?
I'm not a big foodie, and you probably have realized that, but I enjoy my oatmeal.
Oatmeal. Oh wow! I never thought something.
Shouldn't have asked that question.
So yeah, that's like even our moms.
Yeah, I bought it today.
One big bag. Okay, this is not a rapid fire round. This is just a question answer round. Let's have a rapid fire hero.
Okay, favorite place of amongst the people you've interviewed?
Goa.
Next vacation plan?
Pondicherry. Tickets are booked.
Date? Okay, next place is Pondicherry. Okay, your favorite book?
I'm not a big reader of books, but the recent one I read, I'll just push that out. It's called The Autograph Seeker by Tony V. Francis. It's a great book. I actually just interviewed him on my podcast, so you can check out one of the upcoming episodes. It's called The Autograph Seeker. I'll have a link to the book in the show notes as well.
Got it. I think that's about it from our side, guys. Thanks again for having us on your show, and also for all the great work that you have been doing, right? So we really like to express our appreciation for that and have it on record.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
for. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
That was yet another great episode of the Musafir Stories. If you guys like the show, please subscribe to us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Audioboom, Savan, Pocket Casts, Castbox, Stitcher, or any other podcasting app available on iOS or Android. Please do leave us a review on iTunes. It goes a long way in the show's discoverability. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We go by the handle The Musafir Stories. Or if it suits you, you could email us at themusafirstories@gmail.com or visit our website at www.themusafirstories.com for more information. All of these links will be made available in the show notes section of each episode. So here's to more traveling, sharing, and inspiring. Stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, happy travels and goodbye.